Hey guys, welcome to my first live stream. Today I'm going to be looking a bit at the original Xbox game Mechassault. Now, I've done some work with this in the past. Mainly I was extracting videos, and that's all on my YouTube channel if you wanted to see it. But the next step was going to be extracting models and textures, which proved considerably more difficult. So I wanted to make this stream just kind of update anyone who was following the progress as to what's happening, where it's at, and then maybe show off a little bit of what I've figured out so far, and maybe just demonstrate how this sort of thing is done if you wanted to reverse engineer yourself, how you do it. So initially, in uploading those videos, we had found some undiscovered content. There was things from certain mechs that weren't playable, where those videos would normally only exist for playable mechs. Like I think you had either the catapult or the bowman was in there, and it normally wasn't supposed to be. But I found some more unused content in the strings of the Mechassault binary, the main one. Now, this program here is called IDA. It's a decompiler reverse engineering type program. In this case, unlike with the videos, which I could get out pretty easy just by looking into the data files, and I knew it used the Bing format from Rad Video Tools to encode all of its data, so I pretty much just oh, let me know if the sound is too low, whoever's watching, if anyone's in chat. So the what was I saying? Something about... Anyway, yeah, so it uses the Bing video format, and that was pretty easy to extract because it's got a magic number. So you can just look for the magic number and then grab the length of it out of the header, pull it out of these concatenated like group files, and then from there it was easy. You could re-encode it. And that's actually, you can download the original format videos on, if you go to the playlist in my channel, there's a link to a mega folder which has all the videos in it if you wanted them like at the highest quality. I don't know what YouTube does to mangle them, but from there, getting the model formats was more difficult. I started to poke a little bit, and it's all custom. Every single bit past that point is custom. Now, if you look at the kind of hex data for these files, this here, so one thing that I noticed right away is that the common file, which is supposed to contain everything you think would be common, right? So you'd expect it to contain like mechs and stuff like that. I'm about 99% sure that that file does not actually contain any mech data, right? Which is really strange. It seems to be all contained in the actual level folders, so, or the level files, the archives for each particular level, which means that if the level you're inspecting doesn't have that mech, it won't have the models in it. And as far as why that's the case, I probably couldn't... I mean, I have a guess. The main guess is that you would want to be able to vary the texture for maps. Like in snow levels, I think it's Thor on the rocks or Wolf in sheep's clothing, you have to play as a Thor in snow. And normally, you know, there's a different type of texture that you use there because the Thor is in snow. And so it looks like it's been snowed on a little bit. And my thought is that the reason it's all separate, the textures and models, is because they wanted to be able to change models for each, you know, each game or each level. And that's what I suspected anyway. Now, this here is the MGF format, which is not quite exactly what you find in the game data. Like if I go here and I find the extracted ISO file here, you'll see these MGFs. Now, these are... some of them are not compressed and some of them are. Luckily, the first time, movies.mgf was not compressed, and that's why I extracted all the BNK files. But beyond that point, they are compressed. All the game files are compressed, so you have to decompress them first. I forget what I think it's offzip is what I used. There is a lot of different zlib sections, and it kind of grabs them, aggregates them together, and then outputs all that somewhere. In this case, I decided to go after the Grinder Coliseum map because I figured Grinder would have every single playable mech, because you would have to choose that mech in the playlist when you go to start the level, so every Grinder map must have them, and I like Coliseum, so I said, okay, I'll extract Coliseum. Now, once you've extracted these, like if you look at any of these MGF files here, this one's compressed, and it doesn't look like anything in particular, right? But so one thing, if you're going to do any reverse engineering, is bin walk. It's a totally like indispensable tool And in this case, it was helpful in figuring out that this was zlib compressed, or it would have been if I hadn't found a forum post that said the same thing pretty much. But you can run this through binwalk, any file through binwalk, and it will try and find formats that it knows and pull them out. And so in this case, it would have found the compressed streams, and I would have been able to get the real data out, the compressed data, or the uncompressed data. But in this case, I was able to uncompress it with offzip, thanks to that forum post I found. And this is kind of what they look like, these MGF files. They've got this magic number here at this top, and then 99% of the time, right, you're going to see a length field right after this magic number, no matter what it is, right? And it's possible that this MGF has a space here, and that this is the length, or maybe the length is sort of just short. I don't know why it would be, but this doesn't look normal for a length. Usually you see a lot more zeros. But this is a kind of a long file, so maybe not. Actually, we could look if we go all the way to the end here. Yeah, it does not look to be anything like that number at the start, so something is not right. But looking at this just looks like garbage, right? But as soon as you start getting a bit further down, quite a bit further down, really, this is a big file, because it contains a lot of models, it contains a lot of textures, because for some reason, again, they're stored per level. Now, if you get a bit further, did I pass it? I don't think so. Maybe I have passed it. Let me just do this. Here we go. You start getting into this area. This is the almost the directory structure. This is obviously some kind of archive format, and not an archive format in the sense that it's compressed, but an archive format in the sense that it has, you take a lot of different files and you're smushing them together pretty much. And this is the directory, I guess. You got this MGI, which is almost like a magic number for everything contained, but in this case I think it's a folder descriptor. So you got MGI and it's null terminated like you'd expect, and then a slash null terminated, I guess, to denote that it's the root, something like that. And so you see models, mechs, heavy, and then you see summoner, model load, shadow, meshes, a thr missile.mesh, all this stuff, right? And see, you can see why I would think that this contains every possible mech. And you see a reference to the Ymir, which I believe is in Mechassault 1. I'm not 100% sure if that doesn't come into Mechassault 2 or not. I can't quite remember. But that's in there. And so you get all these mesh files, and you think, oh, mesh files, that's probably what you're looking for, but it's not quite. These mesh files are some kind of markup format, from what I can tell, but they really reference these geomvert, and there's another one, geomface. These two types of files here, right? Now, geomvert and geomface are not markup formats like other stuff. And you see it referencing TIFFs a lot, right? TIFF is just an image format, and it's got a magic number, but they're not stored as TIFFs. They're stored as some kind of proprietary format. Really, not all the mechs were playable in Grindr? I thought they were. I know you can only fight some, but I haven't done a lot of research. Regardless, there were definitely more mechs in Grindr than there were in the campaign, so I'm just gonna go with this unless I can find and then I'll fill in the cracks later once I figure out how to do this. Now, let's see. Cracks, glow, all this stuff, just lots of files, right? Now, the geomvert and the geomface are custom formats that store position information, right? I don't know if anybody is familiar with the .obj model format, the wavefront object format. It's a model format that works based off of indexed vertices, pretty much. And what that means is that normally, if you were going to send data to your graphics card, you'd have to send it as sets of triangles, right? And if you're sending sets of triangles to make up a closed mesh, it doesn't make any sense to retransmit the coordinates for corners that are shared by multiple triangles, right? So you can do it that way. You can retransmit the coordinates, but it's dumb, and people don't do it. Instead, they use this indexed format. And so, as far as I can tell, a lot of games do this. They use this indexed format, and this one in particular, I think, does too. It's indexed points, which form triangles, just like the obj model format, which thankfully is pretty easy to generate. So they thought, okay, this will be a piece of cake, and you can just translate it. but it's not quite. And we'll get into that a bit later. But if I go into, let me just go here and locate so the magic number for these model and texture vertex formats is MGIC, lowercase c and capital MGI, right? As far as I can tell, that's the magic number anyway. And then you get this kind of length header. The problem with this length header is it's not right. It's about like 4 bytes too long. And I couldn't really tell you why. It doesn't really make any sense that it would be 4 bytes long. 4 bytes longer than it's supposed to anyway. Now, this is where you start to get into useful-ish information. This is a vertex. This is a geomvert file, as far as I can tell anyway. And the structure, from what I've derived, is that you've got this MGIC magic number, you've got this almost right length, and then you've got a bunch of kind of garbage. I can't figure out what that does, but at that point, you'll then hit this, a 4-byte tag, and it's always 4 bytes long, and that decides what type of file it is. In this case, it's vers, so this is a vertex array. And then you get some more, and I think these do have meaning. I think this is the number of tags in the file, because it's like a tagged format, which will make more sense in a second. But the first of these tags is the info tag for vers files, right? And info contains lots of information that I don't know. And it is, the first 4 bytes are the length of this tag, including the 4 bytes for the header and the 4 bytes for the length. So then you'll go all the way down here and you'll hit this, which is the next tag, data. Again, 4 bytes long, they're all 4 bytes. And you get another length, and then there's just all this garbage up until probably here, right? Now, what would make the most sense is for this to be like floating point numbers, 32-bit floating point numbers, and originally that's what it seemed like it was going to be. But some of these, if you read them out, you'll get complete garbage. Because if you're reading these floating point, I would expect them to be not very large. We're talking like less than 1,000 each, right? And not very small either. So they'll be kind of small, less than 1 maybe, but they're not going to be like scientific notation small. Except some of them are. Some of them are just so small that they're almost basically 0, right? There's no reason for them to not have put 0 there instead of this tiny number that they did. So the only conclusion I can draw at that point is that it's wrong data. But not only does it happen every so often, but it happens with the same number repeatedly. So if you look kind of here, you'll see this kind of like 1F05, 1F05. That might be a repeat. I'm not sure. You'd have to look. But repetition is strange. It shouldn't be in this area, repetition at all. So that's the part that I'm having the most trouble with. The rest of it, the index format, the geom face, seems to make more sense because it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. This is an index file here, right? Now it's got the same magic number, just like the geomvert does. This length, which is wrong again, garbage until you hit this, which is the index tag. It says it's an index file. At that point, you got a bit more garbage, and you see this one has 3 tags, which makes sense because you get vidx, which I think means vertex index. So if this is true, in this case it's 1 byte long, right? So if that byte is 1, which it is, then that means that this contains vertex indices. So it's pointing to data actually in the mesh and not other types of vectors. Which brings us to the next one, NIDX, which I'm pretty sure stands for normal index. And normals are vectors that come off of a triangle at a right angle. So if you've got a triangle like this, the normal vector is going to point straight up. Or if you're turning it, whatever, or maybe it goes backwards. I don't know. But this might also refer to normals. And so you get another length, and this one's 4 bytes long again. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but this one has 6, in case that's useful. And then you get the standard data tag. And then it proceeds pretty much exactly like you'd expect. You've got another length, and then you get this. Now, from what I was able to determine, these are shorts. So they're 2 bytes long, 16 bits long indexes, zero-based indexes into the vertex array. And so it's always divisible by 3. The number of shorts is always divisible by 3, which makes sense because it would be pointing to triangles. So this one says that it's a triangle made up of the index 2, 0, and 1, and then 1, 0, and 3, which makes sense. Kind of. That's only 2 triangles. I've never noticed that before. It's only 2 triangles, which isn't, obviously can't possibly make a complete 3D object. It's possible that it's just a one-sided face. Like maybe, I've seen this before, reverse engineering other model formats, is that you've got only certain parts of the object are stored. Like you won't store the bottom face, or you won't store non-visible faces in the model format at all. Now, then you get these like file info things. And what's interesting here is if you see this, max port version something something something, right? And then created by K. Whitman. Now if you look up the credits for Mechassault, K. Whitman is one of the artists. And this holds for every single file created with this max port, I think it's what max port program, right? They've all got a username that goes first name, last name, and it's always someone on the design team, which makes sense. They're the kind of people that are doing this. This Maxport tool, I am not able to find any references to it anywhere, right? But what this does tell us is that a semicolon is supposed to be used as a comment. I'm not sure how helpful that is, but that does. And the fact that they're using a tool means that obviously this was converted from some kind of other format, which of course would make sense, because this doesn't seem to exist or have references anywhere else, these MGIC formats. Now, this one here is another type of MGIC. In this case, this file is a material file. So you need 3 components to make any 3D model. The mesh is 3 components. You need the geom vert, the geom face, and a material. And the material basically just says it's this texture, it's got this kind of shading, lighting, stuff like that, right? Now, this here, this MGIC, again, same thing, wrong length, more garbage until you get here. This one is pick and a space, because it has to be 4 long, and they decided a space instead of a null terminator or something like that. For reasons I'm not quite sure, but these are images. Now, from what I was able to determine, I didn't quite know what all of these meant, right? You've got ver, which, heck if I know what that means, right? Flags, again, not quite sure. Ver might be the format it's in, which you'd think would be helpful. No. Flags, no clue what those are. Then you get width and height, which makes sense, right? It's an image, of course it's going to have width and height. And then you get MIPS. And that doesn't seem to mean anything initially to anyone. You can't even think of what that might be. But through a disassembly of the code, MIPS refers to MIP map level. And MIP mapping is basically when you have a texture, you will store lower resolution versions of it along with the high res version, so that when you view it from far away, you don't have to take as much effort rendering the whole high res one. You can just render this lower res one, which is already cached. You don't have to scale it, you don't have to do anything, right? And then you get size, which as far as I can tell is just how long, how many bytes there are in this bits section. Don't ask me why it's called bits. You get bits and another length, and then it starts going at it, and you get all this garbage, right? Now, exactly what this is, I don't know. This format doesn't seem to make any sense. Now, I can demonstrate that it doesn't make sense. With this is a bit of code that I had in an attempt to try and convert these things, right? Now, if you take BGRA, which is blue, green, red, alpha, right? And you decide that, oh, it's probably 1 pixel in order, BGRA, and I have to figure out what it's opening exactly. I think it's this file. So this is another MJC, and it's an image, right? This one obviously looks very different from this one here. I think this format stores multiple different types of thing in it, different types of pictures, different pixel formats. And so this one here is the one that I'm about to attempt to read. And if it were BGRA, like you might think, then you got blue, green, red, alpha. I don't think there's any reason for alpha to be anything but 255 or fully opaque, but it might be, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, right? So we're just going to keep reading, and then I'm going to do it 4 times. The first one, it's going to be BGRA, and then the next one is, I think, going to be ABGR, and then R, lots of different orders, right? Just shifting it kind of 1 over, because I thought, oh, maybe it's offset some, right? So you have the first time, and it's going to run, and it's going to pull up this. And this is what it thinks that picture looks like. And obviously something's not right here, because as far as I could tell when I pulled this out, this is supposed to be an image of a cloud. And that's not a cloud. But what the really strange part is that you'd think if I was shifting the colors down, the alpha would get altered too. It's possible the alpha isn't like getting taken into account, but if I go to the next one, it just turns a bit red, and a bit green, and a bit purple. It doesn't actually change what it looks like. You kind of expect it to. And I couldn't tell you why. But regardless, that's obviously not how you read this format. I mean, perhaps I could do RGBA and change this to RGBA. It's just going to do the same thing. Why? I don't know. It makes no sense. It's almost as if all the bits are the same or something. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let's check this. So I want... They're all different. And yet shifting them has, like, no effect on that top left pixel. I don't get it. So that's kind of weird. And then I thought, hey, maybe this is stored in some kind of weird thing, because I know that the original Xbox does swizzling, which is basically where you fuck up the texture because it's easier to access in the way the GPU wants. And so the Xbox GPU is weird, and it has the texture swizzled in a kind of weird way. So looking around, like, ancient forum posts, I found, like, the only reference to what original Xbox swizzling actually does, or is. And so I attempted to do that. Unfortunately, this post came with no real meaning behind anything that was on there. Like, all the parameters, I was able to port it, but all the parameters don't make sense. And so you see, I run that. I just kind of guessed at what the parameters were supposed to be, right? And the image is not the right size. Clearly. And because obviously something's wrong. It's not reading the data out properly. So if we go look here, these are the same original parameter names. Write array, read array is just an artifact because it was converted from C. So write array is what you want to output the unswizzled texture to. Why is this swizzle? Why isn't this unswizzle? That might be important. Yeah, that would definitely be important. Let's go look here and let's find Oh, what the? Okay, let's go into my history. Let's find when I looked at this. Must have been yesterday, I think, right? No, that wasn't yesterday, that was another time. Well, it's X something or other. Xbox. Maybe I can find this here. Models resource forms. Models resource form. Okay, model resource form. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm gonna be right back. I have to grab laundry. So, see you guys in a bit, and I'll take a short break. Okay, we're back. Thanks for sticking with me, whoever was watching. Okay, I was able to find the fixed unswizzle code instead of this swizzle code. So I'm going to go ahead and port that. So this is pretty simple. All the stuff that I code in, generally I will code in C#, and this code is in C. So it's not that hard to port because they're both kind of the same syntax. This would be much worse if it were like Python or something, but really, I don't know why they did this the way they did. It's really strange, honestly. But, oh well. So, okay. Do I say write array or read array? Read array, okay. Sorry, it's difficult to both do this and talk at the same time. I'm sure you could imagine. Now, but after this is done, it will not be hard to just swap this call out to unswizzle. I can't believe I didn't see that that problem. That's just kind of weird. Okay, that did not work. Why did that not work? That's a good question. Why that did not work? That's not right. That's backwards. How about now? Oh, it's put something at the top. Nope. Kinda what I expected with that one. Data width times something or other. I don't get it. Read array, write 1, data width 1. And then it's gonna do that jazz. It's just kind of weird that it would output nothing. Or, you know, the tiny stuff it did output. Because that's just, I mean, that's really strange. Should not be doing that. How does this algorithm even work? That's a better question. Yeah, it looks very complicated. Yes, I would say it is. More the trying to figure out what it's doing or what I'm supposed to be doing, and less that I don't understand what the code is, because I more or less am understanding. Now, okay, that's not right. First one should be read array, which is going to be old bits, and next one should be bits. Okay, so why is it not write offset never gets increased? Well, actually it does. Does it? Read offset, write offset, then plus seg width over 2. I really do not get that, because that should be working. let's see, what's write offset? 0. What's data width? 4. Read offset. Two, read offset 4. 8, 8. Now at this point, we should be getting some more data in there. I don't get it. Okay, let's see. Is it really the hardest one to rip models from? That would make sense because this is kind of before, as far as I know anyway, before engines were ubiquitous. So it's not like this is made in Unreal or something. I can't just like get the Unreal model format. Speaking of engines though, this is written in some kind of engine. Believe it or not, called Granny 3D. I did figure that out after looking through the strings again. Now, if you go here and you look for like, is it gonna let me search? It's not gonna let me search. That's super annoying. But if you keep going down, at some point, there is a string that references, it's like debugging text, and it references a source file. Here we go. Public Granny RT Xbox Granny XTL, right? Or Granny memory. I'm like, the hell is Granny? How am I supposed to know what that is? Granny B-spline, right? All this stuff is reference to Granny stuff, which is a rad video tools, rad game tools thing. Now if we go here and we look for rad game tools, you'll find Granny is the second one. And if you look here in the title list and you Control F Mechassault, there it is. Mechassault for Xbox, Day One Studios. So obviously that was known, but I don't know if anyone ever bothered to look. So we have that information now. You know, I had promised unused content, and because I don't want this to take a super long time, I will try and find that unused content right now. We want to skip this because this is all Direct 3D. Some interesting facts that I found out about the Xbox in doing this. Oh, GGF, right? Okay. Yes, an emulator would so help to rip the models, and I have tried that. An emulator just doesn't exist for original Xbox, except for one or two things. There's CXBX, like, okay, because the Xbox is x86, right? You don't have to emulate it in the same way you would have to emulate like a MIPS processor for Nintendo 64. What people have been trying to do to emulate is just kind of convert the system calls that the Xbox code makes into compatible Windows system calls, and then just straight up running it on the machine. And this kind of works, but not quite right. It's too broken. And this particular mode of emulation is not a good idea, but it is super helpful for me because the original Xbox uses DirectX, and it's super easy to rip models out of a DirectX game. It's beyond easy, right? And when you do this type of emulation, you're just translating the DirectX calls that it would normally make into real DirectX calls for Windows, which means I can capture them if I were running them in an emulator. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten it to run successfully. What I did, though, is all these emulators support wrapping XBEs, which is Xbox executables, into EXEs, normal Windows ones, and that's what I have this in right now, because you can only decompile EXEs with IDA, so I just kind of wrapped it in an executable and then decompiled it just fine. So, yeah. Now, these GGF files, oh, not what I wanted to do. These, again, not what I wanted to do. These GGF files, right? As far as I can tell, GGF stands for Go GUI file. And that comes from a bit more looking around in just these strings, right? Go GUI, I can't tell what it is. I've looked around, and I have not found any references to Go GUI on the internet, aside from like games to play, like programs to play the actual board game Go with a GUI, right? Now, this is interesting because you start to see references to source files around here, like mr make build core src mg core memory.cpp. Mr and mg might be mech game. I'm not really sure, but it could mean something else. Oh, I've never seen that. Shit and shit1.bmp. That's cool. Now, this is of particular interest. This bit here, right? Graph friend geometry vertices vertex group. Now, and this also too. Stream Xbox wavebank.cpp. Graph friend vertex shaders, sound manager wavebank, sound manager stream. All of these have to do with some kind of resource system that this game has. It has a way that you what do you call it? The way that you do stuff is that you call a method that loads a system resource, and you pass it paths like these, like sound manager / resource, or graph renderer, or sound manager stream, or any of these, right? And it returns something. I'm not sure what, but that's how they do it, and I don't know where it actually gets loaded from, or how it works, or anything about it. And now this is the stuff where you start to get into like, what do you call it? The formats, the things we want, right? Name, format, width, x height, MIP level, size, and bytes ref count. That is suspiciously similar to this pick thing. You've got version, flags, width, height, MIP, size. It's similar, and that's how I was able to figure out it was MIP map levels, because of this very string, right? This is part of a set of debug methods that have no references in the code. They just were dropped at one point. But the code is still there. What the code does, if it ever worked, I couldn't tell you, but it's there. Let's see if we can get a bit further to find the important bit. Indexes index data. Supports everything I was saying about normals, about all these index things. It's entirely possible that this MGIC thing, that it's not actually image formats, like it's encrypted or something like that we'd have to find. And then animations. I don't know how I'm going to rip animations, but I'd like to, just because if we wanted to, heck, re-render cinematics in HD, you'd need the models and the walk cycle. Now, once we start to get a bit further down, mission titles, campaign mission select.ggf, that actually might be Granny GUI file. I just now realized that. But I do see a reference to Go GUI somewhere else. Now, that's how it displays. That's how the GUI is formatted, pretty much. That's how the GUI works, is you load these GGF files and do stuff like that. And then you get MGV, mech game video. I don't know, but they're all BINC files, ultimately, and you start to get like, this is where it starts to get into more like real game strings. Now, where is Mechassault Xbox Live staging area? That's particularly interesting, because as far as I know, there is no staging area in Mechassault 1. At least not like there is in Mechassault 2, where you can run around in the little zone. Having never played a game on Mechassault 1 online, I couldn't tell you. But as far as I can tell, there is no staging area like there is in Mechassault 2. Okay, we've got 4 viewers now. That's exciting. And again, you see more references to TIFFs, which I don't quite get. Attract screen, attract mode. All makes sense given what we found about the BINC files called attract.bnk. HUD power-up icon. Displays the appropriate icon for the player and fades it out over time. That sounds just like what the game does. .mgv, just a random .mgv thing. Jump jet recharge, charged weapon, heat, defense, fused weapon ammo, or ammo weapon. MGS sprite file, that's different. But I just saw it. It just passed my face. Here it is, Alpha Strike. Apparently, Alpha Strike was planned, or something like that, because there's no Alpha Strike in Mechassault 1. But it's right here. Alpha Strike mode alpha, Alpha Strike mode sprite, Alpha Strike mode diffuse, Alpha Strike, references to Alpha Strike. really strange. Almost makes you think that it was cut later. Percent value for assisting Flash in Go GUI. That's what part of what made me think that it was Go GUI. Another thing is that they always reference mech with an apostrophe at the beginning. And I'm sure it's super obvious, but for the life of me, I cannot figure out what the apostrophe is supposed to abbreviate. Let's see if we can get a bit further. Oh, there is another piece of unused content once we start getting down here into the multiplayer type stuff. Friendly mech blip, radar color for mech friendlies, blip, things like that for the radar, I imagine. Mad Cat, cat, catapult. This all looks like old stuff because all the code that references a lot of these strings is just disconnected from the rest of the game. But here we start to get the game modes: generic, skirmish match, team scout, assault, soccer, check it, giant killers, not it, grinder. Giant killers I've never seen before, and soccer I've never seen before. There's actually another reference to this soccer thing, and they call the game mode kick it, and it's around the same place where they start to reference kick effects, how kicking works. And my thought is that originally there was intended to be a soccer type game mode. Giant Killer was DLC. Okay. I guess I don't have any of the Xbox One DLC, or original Xbox DLC, sorry. DDS, there actually was one image I was able to extract, because it was a direct draw surface. And it was nothing special. It was just like a random piece of, what do you call it? Terrain. It was just a random hill in the image. Elementals versus one mech. Okay, that's interesting. I'd never played that. That'd be fun. I don't exactly have a modded Xbox, so there's no way I can get that content now, but yeah, that sounds really hard, actually. Elementals are not very powerful. This is interesting. You see a lot of regex. Why? I don't know. I don't know why they would build a regex engine into this, but they did. And there's a lot of these comments, like, all this stuff, it's all human readable. You wouldn't expect that at all, because, I mean, it's human readable. And it's referenced in the code, or it's not referenced in the code. It just doesn't make any sense to me why you would do that. Tonnage killed? That's a particularly interesting stat. Which, again, I could be wrong, but I've never seen tonnage killed used as a stat before. I don't know. Action Nation win? AI type stuff, the way the AIs are controlled. Different types of weapons. And he cut mechs. Well, aside from the Alpha Strike part, which would be a cut weapon, really, maybe that was in a mech at some point. I have not found any references to cut mechs, no. Now, it's entirely possible that I will find model data at some point that is attached to a mech that's not in the game. But as far as I can tell, there are no cut mechs, which is surprising. Projectile type, projectile death effect, miss effect was what it used to be called, apparently. MA Sky, only one. So this kind of brings some insight into the way that the kind of rendering scene building system works, in that you've got nodes and then like child nodes, and MA Sky, I suppose, is supposed to be the root node. MA Sky parent must be the root node. So there's a root node, and then there's the MA Sky. MA Point Light, Mech Assault, point light, MA rubble, MA spotlight, just references to different types of objects that you'd expect to be children. Tank AI, MA tank, is boat. True if this tank is actually a boat. So now we know that, oh look, there's another reference to soccer, kickable, ball interaction, for kick it. That's the thing I was looking for to demonstrate that, yeah, kick it is what it used to be called. How fast does ball rebounds as a multiple of current speed? Ball, I mean, heading of the ball, ball speed, ball after being shot. Anarch. Who is Sam Freeman? Who are you? You memeing me? MA camera pan. That's kind of interesting. You wouldn't expect camera pan to be an object, but I suppose it is. Near plane, far plane, field of view. That's all pretty standard rendering type things. If you've ever done rendering before, that should be obvious what that is. But for anyone who hasn't, I guess the near plane is like, because you're the way. These are people from my school, and they're messing with me. They're my friends. I told them to come watch my stream, and they are. But I don't know anyone named Sam Freeman. Who is that? Who is this person? Because they're the only people who would know Anarch. It's kind of like a school meme. Maybe I do know someone named Sam Freeman. I don't know. Whoever this Sam Freeman is, they're probably upset with me for not knowing who they are. Entity effect. So, okay, basically the near plane and the far plane. Then when you do... Great, now it's moved on to murder memes. But near plane, far plane, you have the camera, right? Which is just a single point. And Mike Wazowski, geez, guys, come on. I'm trying to do something here. But the near plane is a clipping plane where anything closer to the camera than the near plane just isn't rendered. You draw a ray from the thing you want, the point you're trying to project, through the near and far plane into the camera, right? And anything that hits the near plane is what gets rendered. And the distance between the near plane and the point, the camera point, I think is the focal length, but don't quote me on that. And the field of view is of course the angle that is between the two edges of the near plane and the camera. So obviously, if you want to make a ray that goes from the camera to the thing you want to render, it's going to have to go through the near plane to appear on the screen. So anything closer to the camera than the near plane just doesn't show up. Little crash course there, but that's not super helpful for figuring this out. More references to file extensions. I don't know why they reference TIFF if it's not stored as a TIFF internally. Madcat, Novacat, any insight into kick it, into soccer? Is that new? I don't know. I'm sure in a few minutes when the stream catches up to what I just said, I'll know. Any more besides the ones I uploaded? No, that was it. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the only videos in the game. That just means that those are the only... Okay, cut mode. Sounds good. Those are the only ones that I found in the movies folder. There could be more in like the level specific areas, but I haven't found them or looked. So, yeah. Weapon bay. Don't know what that means. You guys are funny. Fun. Sam, you have his cheese. That's good. MA action soccer goal. Action score goal. Goal owner, drawbridge arm. Use nation, team index. Some of the stuff that I have just not. Yeah, looking through that, I suppose I did find particularly interesting things. So maybe I'll go through and look again, but I don't expect anything to be found, honestly. I know, no one. The fact that nobody's found it in 15 years of existence is incredibly surprising to me. I think just the only reason is that no one's really looked, because this game has basically a small cult following. It doesn't really have a huge critical acclaim, I don't think. And if it does, nobody remembers it, and they might, but not enough to do this. But it's interesting. I liked finding cut content. I hope to find more, but there's only so much. This starts to look like sound stuff. Yeah, I know people still play it. I've been meaning to get on X-Link Kai for a while, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Reticle core, reticle shell, Warhammer. Interesting. I don't know what that means. MR make. This starts to look like network stuff. Knack, negative acknowledge. Tried to knack nothing, stupid. That's funny. Yeah, I know, right? Warhammer. I don't know. That's probably supposed to reference a type of weapon, because you look here, shell flamer, shell lava, so... Is it? Oh, thanks, Cameron. Flamer, I'm guessing, is... That must be Garrett. Garrett's the only one who would say that. Only one who would say Yankee Danky Doodle Shite. Thank you for thinking this is a great stream. Lava 64. Okay, this is interesting because okay, you say Warhammer is the name of a mech. Is that? Yeah, Mech Warrior Online. That's what I thought. Okay, like you got Flamer, Lava, Warhammer, Pulse Laser, PPC, Machine Gun, Laser again. Just regular laser this time. Javelin missiles, Gauss rifle, crossbow missiles, autocannon, and then the same thing again but without 64. Older mech. That's what I thought. Yeah, it all comes from the older Mech Warrior games, which is great because I've seen the different renditions of like the Cougar mech. Just it always looks different. Of course, I'll always be married to this rendition. Really, it sounds like a cut mech. I might believe it. Do the weapons come from the game too, or from the older games? Like when you talk about like autocannon or pulse laser or whatever, because it's possible that Warhammer is just another weapon type. The same engine as Mech Warrior 4, really? If I could get, what? Is Mech Warrior 4 for original Xbox? PC. Actually, yeah, Granny 3D works on a lot of platforms, so it's possible that it would work on PC also. Yeah. So I could see that they would be ported. Seems like... Yeah, only Mechassault, that's what I thought. Yeah, this is definitely network stuff. Interesting fact about the original Xbox. It is really strange with its linkage. Now, normally, when you have like, okay, wait, hold on. I'm trying to focus here on what it says. This all looks like Rad Video Tool stuff. Like, it's starting to change into a different type of thing. And this all looks like the Xbox X Online library. Because I guess it used HTTP at some level. Interesting thing about this is that if I were dedicated enough, and yeah, look at that, we're in the X Online section now. If I were dedicated enough, you could reverse engineer the Xbox Online format. Particularly, you could reverse engineer System Link. And if you were to make a PC version, like a fan PC port, using the models that I will rip eventually, you could reverse engineer System Link and make a PC version that can play with original Xboxes. Really? Do we have early builds of Mechassault? What's the source of that information? Not that I'm doubting it, I'm just curious. Oh wait, what's that? Did I just see Huffman tables? Right, which makes sense, this is the DirectX. Yeah, so the original Xbox has really weird linkage. It doesn't have any dynamic linking. Now, that probably doesn't make sense unless you're a computer science student, but dynamic linking is basically instead of taking your code and then taking a piece of code that you want to use and permanently sticking them together, you just leave them separate, and then when your program runs, it can kind of load that bit of code into it when it starts up, right? Or when it wants to use something from it. And that is generally better, I guess. But the interesting thing about the original Xbox is that there is only one file you can dynamic link, and that's the kernel. You're dynamically linked with the kernel when it starts, and you can call only that dynamically. You can't call anything else dynamically. The rest of it's... Oh, there's gameplay footage. Cool, you should send a link to me at some point of that kind of stuff, because that sounds cool. Oh, IGN. Ah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. I thought it was like a leak or something, but that I get that. Sure, sure. Has anyone ripped the models from MechWarrior 4? Just curious. Now, XBX, I'm not sure what that means. But yeah, so everything's statically linked, right? Which means that if I'm trying to disassemble this code, like I am right now, if it were, everything's statically linked, I mean. Did I say dynamically? I think I did. Everything's statically linked, which means that ultimately, when you go to decompile this, you're not just getting the game, you're getting everything it was built with, which means you're getting the libraries from the X Online, you're getting everything that it does to use to access DirectX. Like, the entirety of DirectX is fused into this game, which means that it's super annoying, like beyond annoying, to try and like decompile this, because when you reach a method call, which of course has no metadata about it, so you don't know what it's supposed to do until you like figure it out. You got to deal with this stuff, assembly. When you go to look at that, that's the only way you can know what a method does. There's no names. So if I just jump into some random piece of code, there's no way to know, like, whether or not you're in DirectX. I mean, it kind of is. Thankfully, they were really nice and decided to put every library in a separate section, which means you can kind of tell, or a separate segment, I mean, which means you can kind of tell, oh, really? Okay. I would like a copy. At some point, I ought to get a copy of that game, of MechWarrior 4, because if the models work the same, if they're made in the same engine, I'd expect that it works the same, and I can rip models from that too, in the same way. Because basically what I'm going to do, probably, honestly, I really shouldn't be uploading content as, like, freely as I am right now. It's entirely possible I will get, like, copyright notices of some kind. In fact, I already did for the music that I posted, which is how I was able to identify it, so they did content ID on me. But the videos that I'm posting, they're short enough where I don't think it matters, and I don't think anyone's going to come after the copyright at this point. But if someone did, it could be a problem. So what I ought to do is create a tool set for extracting these models, and then provide the tool set so people who want to, who own the game, can extract it and then rip the models themselves. That makes more sense, and that's probably what I'm going to do once I figure this out, which means you'll need a modded Xbox, of course, to get that data. Or not. I mean, you know, be quiet, I'll whisper, you could PM me and I would give it to you, but, give the models, but, yeah. Hey, it's someone else. If you want to get caught up on everything that's happening, you're gonna have to, go back to the beginning of this stream. Yeah. Zlib. That's interesting that it's in the Direct 3D part. I mean, you wouldn't expect that. Interesting that there's any strings in the DirectX part anyway. We've kind of been through all of this already. xonline, net xonline.txt. It's kind of weird. But one thing that we might consider doing, if I'm not able to get this to work, is to somehow get in contact with the people who made this game, and ask them about these formats. I'm not sure that they'll have anything for us. Could I make mods for this game? I don't see why not. Grinder Online, that would be... Wait, is there no Grinder Online? Wow. I don't see why I couldn't. To get to that point, though, I would become, like, the only person in the world with as much understanding about this game as like, ever. But, I mean, I guess I could do that. I've never written a mod for an original Xbox before, and I'm not sure exactly how it would work. But I suppose there's no reason you couldn't bring it in as, like, an update patch. I'd have to figure out how those work on the original Xbox, but bring it in as a patch somehow. Or heck, you could just mod the game disc if you can play unsigned code on a modded Xbox, sure. That wolf, I guess you didn't hear earlier what I said, which is, if I can rip all the models out of this game and all the animations and textures, right, then there's nothing stopping us from recreating Mechassault as a PC game. And at that point, if you had enough, because I've got access to all the code, right, more or less, in some form or another. And if Mechassault Reborn, is that an attempt to, what is Mechassault? Okay, wait. I don't know what you're reacting to because there's a bit of delay on the stream. So, advertise. So, okay, my thought was, right, because I've got access to all this code, which means I've got access to the code that does system link. So the plan would be recreate this game for PC and then allow it to system link with real Xboxes, so that you could play the actual game with someone on a PC who's playing it in full HD or 4K or whatever, which would be really awesome. I think it'd be super cool. Another thing that would be really awesome would be to kind of backport Mechassault 2 features, because obviously the textures and the shaders and everything about Mechassault 2 is a lot better graphics-wise. So the thought would be rip Mechassault 2 models to also, oh yeah, if I'm modding it already, then I'm totally writing in a patch to fix online, right? I'll host my own online servers. I don't give two shits, and I'll fix matchmaking if I can do that. If I can make mods at all, right? But the thought would be to backport Mechassault 2 models and textures, so you make Mechassault 1 look like Mechassault 2, but with the same campaign and sounds and gameplay. So just thoughts, random things I'm coming up with. Obviously, I can't promise the whole world. I've got school to do, but yeah, you play on X-Link Kai. I remember you left a comment on one of my videos at one point. By the way, if you didn't hear, obviously you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, we found there's some more unused content. We think that there's an unused mech, Warhammer, and we think, but there's like barely any reference to that, right? So I don't know how that is, but will I? No matter what, I will rip these models. Like, they will be ripped. I might be like 90, but they'll be ripped. I've got some contingency plans for cut Alpha Strike too, and the other thing. What was the other one? Kick It, soccer. There was going to be a soccer game mode called Kick It, and did you guys? Because I guess you guys seem to be really in tune with all of this stuff. What was known about it being made in Granny 3D? Like, did we know that before? Did anyone know that? Did I just stumble upon it? Because I'm not even sure how valuable that is. But I just don't know the whole like Mechassault community enough to say whether or not that was known. Now, there's fonts too. If we could rip fonts, that'd be cool. MG fonts, MG TIFF, colorizing alpha blending mode properties. Granny 3D is a rad Game Tools engine, almost like a proto engine. Like before engines were really ubiquitous, Granny 3D was an engine. Yeah, I don't think anyone has heard of it really, which is cool that I discovered that. I have Skype. Oh wait, shit, what did I do? Okay, right. I have Skype, which I'll probably PM you or something. I don't know how interesting this is, but I think there's even more cut content. I think that there was supposed to be an online lobby, like in Mechassault 2 where you can run around. I think there was supposed to be something like that for matchmaking in Mechassault 1. But that's, barely. Let's see. X-Link works on 360 too, as far as I know, which is pretty neat. Of course, you can't play Mechassault 1, but a sequence of TIFFs. This is interesting. Specified in an MGV file, usually a sequence of TIFFs. So there are sprites. I'd have to play through the game to identify what objects are sprites, because knowing that would obviously be good. Knowing which things are sprites would be good in figuring out like what it's supposed to look like. Very important information. Okay. Yeah, here's the Alpha Strike stuff. My only, yeah, Yeah, just PM me. Hangouts or something. My only thing here about Alpha Strike, because this is really interesting, right? Alpha Strike mode Alpha Strike mode sprite global alpha value 1 through 128, right? 1, it's a signed byte, or 0 through 128, right? I don't know why it's a signed byte, but 2, Alpha Strike targeting mode MGV sprite file, an animated sprite which has to do with targeting Alpha Strike, multi-targeting mode, perhaps multi-targeting mode is like when you have a missile weapon or something, and you hover over multiple enemies and you can like split your missiles up and hit them both. But this Alpha Strike stuff is weird. Almost makes me think that whoever was firing Alpha Strike was here. Yeah, there's the Goji UI thing, which I said earlier. Just the string blue. Just blue. I don't know about that one. Directicator? A thing that directs? Wait a second, what's this? Material file to display. Almost makes me think that, what the hell is this? Oof. What is Discord exactly? Am I gonna get a virus going here? I know it's a chat thing, but is it like is it a voice chat? Is it a chat? Come on. Stupid Chrome. There we go. Okay. Five more viewers? Okay, cool. Yeah, what am I looking for? Source, left top, player mech compass. Okay, this is weird. Oh, no wonder. A stupid Discord. Do I plan on literally ripping everything, like all character models, vehicles, and tanks? The idea is to rip as much as is physically possible. Choose a secret password. Okay, now, I know people are subscribing to me and I'm getting accounts, getting Discord accounts. It's great. Now, this probably does not make sense to any of you. It doesn't make any sense to me. What am I going to do with all the code? What am I going to do with it all? The idea right now, I mean, there's no... Where do I plan to upload the model files? Right now, I think that... I mean, models resource sounds good. from what Mad Cat No Cat says. But right now, all the content I'm just putting on a Mega. And if you look around my channel, there are any interesting things in the code. Give me a second. There are like one of the playlists has like there's FLAC rips of the music files. There's AVI of the videos. So yeah, I'll probably do Mega and there. So here's the Directicator thing. Where's this code referenced? Nowhere. Again, it's just referenced here. But that's referenced here. I don't even. Anything like cut max levels or anything like that. Oh man, everybody's taking the little thing I said about PC and they're running with it. I said that it would be possible, right? That's different than I can do it. Cut max levels. So we have found a cut game mode called Kick It, or Soccer, which is supposed to be soccer. We've found references to DLC stuff. No, don't worry about the PC thing. They really like the word Directicator. Yeah, cut Alpha Strike, soccer, and there's references to DLC content, which makes me think that the DLC was originally intended to be part of the game, but they removed it and put it in DLC because they didn't have time to finish it, is my thought anyway. Because I was under the impression that Ymir was a DLC mech, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there's a downloader.xbe. Right there. I don't know what you want me to do with it, but it's there. Yeah, I know it's a variant. I just never happened to come across it, I guess, playing. I prefer Ymir. I think I do. It's difficult to remember what weapons are on whichever one has the Gauss cannons is my favorite, because the Gauss cannons are great. I played this game when I was much younger. I used to call them Wachit guns, because that was the sound they made. The final boss mech? Ragnarok? That's already playable in multiplayer. Okay. Ah. Wait a second. I think I found something interesting. This seems like it reads movies. The giant skull monster, what, from Mechassault 2? You want that to be playable? No. Yeah, that's me. Oh, goodness. I have been sitting here for an hour and a half. Oh, PPC's lava gun, and does it have autocannon, or... Okay, because see, look at this. Ooh, Sprite. Interesting. Okay. See this here, you get this movie tag. Discord PMs. How do you read PMs? Autocannon, yeah. hold on. Okay. Okay. This is pretty cool. I've never been a part of like a cool game community like this. It's nice. That's a good question about the soccer game mode. I'm not sure. If I could find... I don't know why... here we go. This is the section... No, I imagine the soccer mode is not completed at all. How did I get access? Well, this is a program called IDA, which is specifically for decompiling stuff, or disassembling it, really. You can kind of decompile it. But I otherwise obtained the files off of the shit, what was I talking about? What was I saying? What was I saying? Jeez. Right, okay, you can't normally decompile this kind of stuff, right? Because, so what I did is I took CXBX, I think it is? Yeah, CXBX, which is supposed to be an Xbox emulator. But one of the things it can do is it can wrap, yes, otherwise obtained them, you're right. It can wrap, XBEs in EXEs, right? And so once you've done that, you can decompile it with IDA just fine. And so that's what I did. And yeah. Cut a depth straighter model. Interesting. Now, as far as cut models go, what I could do is I could Madcat, NovaCat, which level do you think that model would be on? Let's see. Worst day since. Okay. Aha. Right. I will be right back. I have to go get some laundry. So I'll just pause the stream for a bit, and it should not take me more than like... Actually, that's not true. This one will take me longer because I actually have to get it out of the dryer. I'll be maybe 20 minutes tops. Alright, see you guys in a second. we're back. Sorry for the wait, everyone, but, okay, so. Madcat Novacat had said something about a Depstrator. Now, as much as I'd love there to be models about a Depstrator in there, I have to say that I have my doubts. Mostly because the human being models are likely to be incredibly low poly. So if there was a model that was supposed to be a Depstrator, I'm not sure it would be even detailed enough to like know what was happening. Know that it was a Depstrator, right? So there's that problem. But I can look. And let's just see if I remember how to do this. We want... What level did he say it was? He said it was... Worst day since. And which level is that? As far as like number, because these mission files are not great. Levels. What I'd like to know is, because if anyone's ever soft modded before, you need Mechassault to do it in one way, because it is there's an exploit. One of the ways you do it is mech installer. Okay, let's see. Guessing mission 1 is going down hard, so he suffers silence. Friends indeed, dry me out, sailing away, catnap, catnap 2, bright lights, dark city, bright lights, dark city 2, which makes sense because you got A and B for both of those. Not again, throw on the rocks, wolf and sheeps, under the guns, size matters 1, size matters 2, not on my watch, payback, and worst day since is number 19. Let's check here. Yep, very compressed. Let's see. Is it dash S? Dash A. And we want let's try that. Okie dokie. Whoa, that's unusual. .txt. Not helpful. If anyone knows what this max port is, that would be useful to know, because it's all over the place. Yeah. That obviously I did something wrong there. Nope, not that one, that one. Let's dash 1 instead. Permission denied. What the heck? what am I looking for? What am I trying to do? I might have to go soon, so we'll see how that goes. While we're just stalled here, I can say something about ideas I had for a potential Mechassault remake, as it were. Obviously, because we don't own Mechassault, because I don't own the property rights, right? I will have to. There has to be some way to skirt that, right? The solution that seems more or less obvious is to, well, more or less obvious is not necessarily true, but you get the point. The idea would be create a game that just happens to be like Mechassault, right? But uses different models and different animations and everything like that, right? And then what you do is create a mod, almost. Create the ability to modify the models in the game content. What? And oh yeah, here's the only image I was able to extract. If this means anything to anyone, that would be useful. We basically make the ability to add like a content pack onto this thing. And then you make another tool that can convert Mechassault files into this content pack. And pretty much what you'd end up with is a game that happens to be compatible with Mechassault over System Link or something, right? Or online. And then a game that can be modded to look exactly like Mechassault, but you'd have to pull the data out of files that you actually own, which makes it better. I need to remember how to do this. Here it is. Ah, that's what you do. Now, ta-da, decompressed. Now all we have to do if we're looking for his Adept Strader model is to go down until you pass this region, and there we go. Okay, what do we got? Models, buildings, it's probably not what you want. Hangar, tall wall. Let's just go the cheap way and do. Hey, you're back. I'm looking for your Adept Strader model. But I gotta be honest, I'm not optimistic. Hammer hit L1 glow? Hammer missiles? Oh, you know what? It's possible that the Warhammer is hammer missiles. And not a mech. But Yeah, it showed a model in the back. Okay. Interesting. Like a person or like his mech or something? AMS glow. Okay, a person. Um, Machine gun fire. Buildings, buildings, buildings. Okay, that's the end of it. Dust2.geom face. Okay. Main hose, CS, barrack wall. Do we ever see him in game? I'm guessing no. That's interesting. I have yet to find character models at all. Not that there are many character models in the game to begin with, but they just are suspiciously absent. Maybe I just haven't noticed them yet. But it's possible also that they are in the common data one, rather than. Okay, let's see here. sfx.cbx, music.cbs, music B, menus. So all the menus are in here. So this is, I guess, is stuff that's unrelated to any level. And you get these like weird building standard lot .node, and then these .node files. I'm not sure what they are. Hrothgar.node. Wonder what that is. Main 1, main 1, main 2, main 2, running light, running lights, dropship. Okay, share it with people on Models Resource. How do I do that? Just post on the forum somewhere? Really, what I'd like to be able to do is figure out this container format. Because if you could figure out the container format, it would be infinitely easier to actually get these out. Because right now they're not associated with file names. Like I could tell you the name of a, like I could tell you that a file with this name is in there, but I couldn't tell you where it was or which one it was, which causes a problem because you have to be able to match the right index list with the right vertex list, which means if I don't know what they're called, there's no way to reliably do that. You can kind of guess that they're next to each other or in the order that it shows in the Okay, so yeah, here's sound voice English MPVO grinder. I'm guessing that's what race. Whoa, hey, look at that. That's a sound effect for another game mode. Okay, look, so you've got grinder, territories, king, I'm guessing that's king of the hill, race, not it, raid, last man standing, destruction. Yeah. Yeah, I figured it was Major Natalia. It's Major something voiceover. Yeah, I thought she was the voice. What's her actor's name? User-made game modes? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. There's references to CTF and the Flamer in here, which are both downloadable content. Yeah, please explain the Mechassault 3 story. Like why we don't have it. Yeah, I'm curious about that too. They do move slowly. It's possible that you'd have like, I don't know. This to me looks like a descriptor block for the sound files. This looks like it's like sfx.cbx or whatever it was called. Like it's telling it where to find them in there. Ripped from Halo 1. But it seems weird because it's the same. It's MPVO. Give me a second and I'll find. Okay. Shelley Reynolds is Natalia, which obviously doesn't match with MP. What could raid mean? Okay, here's something else. White button. These might be the GGF files. Feeder lines. Oh, damn. That's super lame. We should have Mechassault 3. It should be ours. Hey, check this out. Sprites mechstat weapon icons MSW Warhammer.tiff. Nullsig, Pulse Laser, Warhammer. I think Warhammer is hammer missiles. Jump Jet as a defense icon. There is? What is it? Mechstat Uller. Display image goes here. Oh, speed. Oh, this is the mechstat menu. I see. Missile icon goes here. Crossbow. Yeah, you know when you go look at the mech stats and it has that there. Oh yeah, Phantom War. I've played that one actually. Might be able to rip models from that one pretty easy. never done it for a DS game before. Don't even have a file system in that case. Oh yeah, the emulator makes it even easier. Well, as long as it's using DirectX. If it's using OpenGL, it's more difficult, but still doable. Defense icons. Chaff. Really? What's that? What could chaff be? I guess that's the thing that you put down on the ground, yeah. Javelin. Whole century? Jeez. Mechstat catapult. Again, Mechstat speed. This is so weird. It's like they hard-coded like the whole stat set into the UI. Okay. 32nd century. Makes sense, I guess. Target jamming? We expected that much. Okay. Looking through that is fun, but it's not particularly helpful. Full focus. Portable? Oh, jeez. Eigen state? Okay, let's see what they mean by that. Hey, does anyone recognize this font? Because as far as I can tell, this is one of the Mechassault fonts. That font does look really familiar to me, actually. Like, where is... Hey, it's my own live stream. If I go to, yeah, it's in, here we go. This. I'm pretty sure it's this font. Here we go. Yeah, it's that font. Look. Compare the T's. The T's are identical. Huh. Well, that's good to know. No, the E's look the same. At least in this video. It's called eigenstate. E-I-G-E-N state. Regular. 0.16. Or 16 point. Wasteland movie. Level 1. File mission 1 WDF. WDF. Yeah, the first 30 seconds. Some of that music, yeah, I didn't quite recognize, but yeah. Did they? It's well, I think that that one was wide. It was your eigenstate wide, not eigenstate regular. So the very first thing that has to get executed in a campaign is start campaign. This can't change names. The very last thing should be end campaign. Don't change the name of the section. Name of this section or item must be unique. Type movie or level or init. Should be, oh wait, shit. Where the hell was I just a second ago? Test mission detail map 1.tiff. This is really weird. If Mechassault came back for like Xbox One, I'd be so happy. Models, Mechs, Medium, Cougar, Model, Cougar, footprint. This picture is just all ones. Like twos somewhere, but what the hell? Some of these are paletted textures, I think. Which means that, fuck if we're gonna do that. Hey, you're back. Yes, we found some more game modes. We found, what was it? Territories, King of the Hill. That might already be in there. Something else. Where did I find those? Here we go. Yeah, racing mode and territories. Here we go. Territories, King of the Hill, I'm imagining. Race, not it. Raid, Last Man, Destruction. I'm not so sure about the Halo 1 thing, but yeah. Wait, look. Hill captured, Hill contested. Hill lost. Object destroyed. That must be destruction. You are it. All attackers destroyed. All defenders destroyed. Victory imminent. Briefing. Opening first area. Mech base. Third area. Lava run. Drill. No damage. Yeah, you are it is from Not It. It's like the very first thing you hear when you start being the first. Yeah, there's already a Not It in Mechassault though. Open B. Timer. Hold on, that wasn't supposed to happen. Give me a second. Okay. Cut enemies. Bridge secrets. Owens.wave. Reinforcements.wave. Go around.wave. Doors closed. Generators. Cargo plane. This must be just campaign sounds. Ending. Lava death. Pre-Ragnarok. Taunt 1. Briefing. Opening. Salvage. Same. Failure. Just in case. Distract. Briefing 1. Outpost 1 or 2-1. Neckyard. Approaching base. Dropship. Pop-up turrets. Interesting. Escape. Opening cinema. Dropship. Mech 1. Mech 2. Base. Weak city. Gun to dead. Guns dead, 9 enemies. It's getting kind of late here. I'm not getting anything useful right now, so I think I'm probably just gonna call it a night. And I might be back tomorrow. I might be back later. Who knows? It just depends how much time I have. But we'll be back with more reverse engineering attempts. And yeah. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Seriously, it means a lot. And I'm just glad to be able to help out and everything. This game is so cool. It's a huge part of my childhood, so to be able to contribute to like this community it's still around is super awesome. So yeah. Oh. Anyway, bye.